You donkey.
Donkey. Wait.
What's that remind you of?
Gordon Ramsay, of course.
Yes.
And when I think Gordon Ramsay, I think...
Hell's Kitchen.
And when I think Hell's Kitchen, I think...
Oh, beef Wellington, risotto,
Scallops.
John Dory. Yes. Oh my gosh. And we've been to Hell's Kitchen in Vegas, and I had the beef Wellington there.
Yes, absolutely. It's
so
good stuff.
So good. In fact, it was so good. Like, I mean, we tried a few different things. I had the risotto.
Yep, I had the bone-in ribeye.
I had the risotto for an appetizer. I had one of his signature drinks, Notes from Gordon. I had ordered the beef Wellington, and then it had like a puree, like potato or something with it. I was only able to eat half of the beef Wellington. We took the other half home. I ate the other half the next day, and it was still phenomenal. So good. Oh my gosh, worth every penny.
Absolutely.
Yeah, at the Hell's Kitchen restaurants. But we're not going to be watching we're not going to be watching Gordon Ramsay.
I know, all of that we get you all worked up about Gordon Ramsay and
we're not watching Gordon Ramsay.
But we're not watching Gordon
But
Ramsay.
we are watching Beef Wellington.
We're going to watch a beef Wellington. It's really boring video, folks. We're just going to watch a beef Wellington.
It's just going to sit there on the table.
We'll just look
we're just going to look at it. Check it out.
No, we kid. But before we tell you what's really going on, just want to give a quick shout out to the Savage Reaction crew and say, welcome. My name is David.
I'm Angie.
I'm a little bit of everything.
I'm a whole lot of rock and roll.
You certainly are. So
I'm not a cook.
No,
you cook.
I do the cooking mostly.
You've made a beef Wellington for me before.
I have.
I would really like another one again sometime soon.
Very well.
Please,
as you
thank
wish.
you.
Maybe
you can learn here.
We can learn from today's video. Mr. Josh Weissman in the house, everybody.
No, not that one.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's sneaky
It's
at
an
all.
investigation of Josh Weissman and the Wellington. It's a mystery.
Before we get any further, though, real quick, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, ring the little bell,
and comment down below. It helps the algorithm.
There we go. All those things. But I really want to get into this because I want me some beef Wellington.
Heck yeah. All right. We're big fans of Josh Weissman. We found him recently.
Take some notes.
Okay. Notes.
Yeah,
oh, you want your pen back?
Yeah, I got it.
All right. Here we go.
Josh
We're
Weissman.
Big fans of John Weissman. He's a lot of fun.
Josh.
I said Josh.
I said John that time.
Josh. I think he
you're
likes
John Dory.
I think he prefers Joshua. Okay.
Joshua
Weissman.
Joshua.
All right, here we go.
Anyways,
without further ado.
It's a 300-hour beef Wellington.
Yeah, without further ado.
Adieu.
3, 2, 1, action.
You all know that I love Gordon Ramsay. And I think we can agree that beef Wellington is one of the most delicious things on planet Earth while simultaneously being very time-consuming. But what if we turn a sub-24-hour process into this? We're gonna use real techniques, fermentation, aging, to see if we can create not only the greatest beef Wellington, but to see if it's better than its original counterpart. And if you've seen our 350-hour pizza.
Couple things right out of the gate. First of all,
this is why I don't cook. I don't have the patience for any amount of hours to cook a meal.
What is going on with our blurry friend here? See if we can force a little.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, that's much better.
All right.
I don't know what it was doing.
This is why I don't cook. Like, I watch cooking shows. I know about cooking. We're just discussing this at our friend's house tonight that cooked for us. Thank you, Beth and Richie.
We love you guys.
Who also, he is in the band Third Watch, another awesome classic rock local band here in Phoenix suburb area.
Yes.
But
and he makes wonderful pasta.
Wonderful food. Wonderful. It's Italian. But what I was getting at is that, like, I know about cooking, I know about food, I just don't enjoy doing it. I don't have the patience for it, but I do enjoy eating.
She enjoys eating.
I enjoy eating the foods.
All right, here we go.
You do the cooking.
Keep it up.
Yeah. All right.
We're going to calculate the time differently here, okay? We're going to be more fair. We're not going to add the times together. So this one's going to be even harder. If I'm going to put in all this time, then I need something that can stand the test of time. And also happens to be today's sponsor, Made in Cookware. I've been using their pots and pans long before this
I would like
I love
to
them.
know
But
who
why
the
do I love
sponsor
these
is for
pans
his
so much?
hair.
They're pro-level products, handcrafted in Italy. But
I need to
made
use whatever
for
hair
home cooks.
product.
Because of
he's
my chef
using.
background, I'm insanely picky when it comes to the performance of my
Beautiful,
pans.
soft
That's why I fell
curls.
in love with Made
Yeah.
in long before.
So sorry for
Their pans are
talking
used
over
in
his
3,000
ad
restaurants,
there.
including
It's
multiple
just
three-star
They don't
restaurants.
sponsor us.
they don't
They have
sponsor us.
beautiful heat.
But they could though.
Sure.
I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
Made in
But these handles stay
Made
cookware
in
and balanced thanks to their
cookware.
ergonomic design.
David
I just love what
Savage's
ergonomic
kitchen.
means. Since these can withstand the demands of a pro kitchen, you can imagine they're going to work quite well for you. So check out the
imagine
Stainless
so.
collection and Made in's other cookware by clicking the link in the description to save on your order. Now back to the video.
Yay.
Before we start, I want to clarify we did not get
looks
330 hours by adding together all the times here. Because, well, I know how the comments felt. So we're not messing around here. This is 330 hours starting from the top of the most time-consuming item. Now, if we did add all of our times together, it would be a total of nearly 700 hours. I do want to note something really quick. You know, the takeaway isn't just to be like, wow, let's watch Josh make this ridiculously long thing. But also, that's fun too. Honestly, I'm excited to see how this turns out. And I'm sure you are too. But the goal
Oh
here is
my
that
gosh,
we,
my mouth's
or maybe
watering.
just you, find something cool out of this. Just an element that you could take home with you and make just by itself or apply the technique elsewhere. That's the beauty of this. Plus, it's a very much of a greater than the sum of its parts thing. But anyway, first thing is our least time-consuming item. Sourdough crepes. First, you're gonna need a strong sourdough
it
starter,
green?
which you'll need to have given a full feeding and let it ferment at room temperature until fully mature, about 24 hours. Now, making the batter. Get a large bowl, add 3/4 of a cup or 90 grams of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon or 4 grams of fine sea salt. Whisk together, then whisk in half a cup or 140 grams of your mature sourdough starter. 2 whole eggs and 1 egg yolk, 1 cup.
I have recreated Gordon Ramsay's
Beef Wellington.
beef Wellington. I don't remember there being a sourdough crepe in it.
I don't know
This
why
might be a
it's
twist.
green. Let's check it out.
For 240 milliliters of whole milk. Whisk together until homogeneous, then pass through a fine mesh strainer, such as a chinois. And, well, it could be done here, but if you want it to be green, why would I want it to be green? To be honest, I think it's just a marker of looking cooler and a bit more soigné, as we say. If you do want that, pop it into a
What did
blender
that
with a couple
mean?
handfuls
It
of
went
spinach
fast.
blend on high until
I don't know
completely
what soigné means.
as we say.
Oh,
If you do want that, pop it into a
well-groomed
blender with a couple
steak,
handfuls
what?
of spinach cooler and a bit more soigné,
Oh,
as we say.
stop. Well-groomed, sleek, elegantly maintained or designed.
There you go.
Soigné.
Kind of like me. I'm so swan.
You are elegantly maintained.
Yep. I think I just farted.
You are no longer soigné.
I am no longer soigné.
If you do want that, pop it into a blender with a couple handfuls of spinach, blend on high until completely
Oh,
smooth
there's
and
where the
well
green
green.
comes
Pass
from.
through a fine mesh
Little
strainer.
bit.
Now to cook these crepes, you'll get a 10-inch nonstick pan, lightly grease, set over medium heat, and once it's hot, pour in 4 to 6 tablespoons
what?
of your batter,
I
swirl it around.
I like spinach as long as I can't taste it.
Okay.
To create a nice thin single layer. Cook until completely set, about 45 seconds, flip and cook for 30 more seconds. That's it. Just repeat with the rest. I'll be honest, you're gonna have some messed up ones. That usually happens with the first. Yeah, there it is. Now let's up the ante. Puff pastry. Yes, we're making it from scratch. Store-bought versus homemade. Is it worth it? We're gonna find that out today as well. Funny enough, it's only 4 ingredients. Start with 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons or 227 grams of unsalted cold butter. Cubed, place it on a work surface, lightly dust it, and bait that thing up with a rolling pin, give it a little fold, and repeat that process until you have a cohesive piece of butter that doesn't break easily. Get yourself some wax paper. Now wrap that wax paper around the butter, encasing it in a large square. Roll the butter out to each corner of your square until you get a 4x4 inch square of butter. Look, this just helps make it into the shape of a square. You don't have to use the wax paper. Pop that in the fridge and then make your dough. Big boy bowl. 2.5 cups or 320
I like his
grams of
honesty.
all-purpose flour, 1
Yep.
teaspoon or 7 grams of fine sea salt. Stir
Big
together,
boy
then
bowl.
add 3/4 of a cup or 177 grams of cold water. Mix by hand, and as soon as the dough pulls from the sides of the bowl, knead on a work surface until you get a smooth dough. About 2 to 3 minutes. Remember that there butter back in the day? Like
That
a few
there.
seconds ago.
Yeah.
You're gonna do the exact same thing with your wax paper. You're gonna roll that dough out into a 7x7 inch square wrapped in your wax paper case. Pop that in the fridge and rest with the butter for 1 hour. Once the time's up, pop your dough onto the counter, lightly flour it. Add your butter square in the center with the edges of the butter facing the opposite way of the edges of the dough. See, kind of like this. Does that
It's
make
like
sense?
a
Fold each corner of the dough
butter
over the butter to
dough
form a
diamond.
kind of a closed envelope. Seal all the edges completely, then carefully roll it into a 12 by 7 inch long rectangle. Then letter fold that by placing one side to the middle and then the other side to
Butter
overlap
inside.
evenly. Wrap that in plastic wrap and place in the fridge for 45 minutes. Now take it out. Do the exact same thing. Roll it out, 12 by 7 inch long rectangle. Letter fold, wrap in plastic wrap, and back into the fridge. This time let it rest in the fridge for 1 day or 24 hours. Good night, my sweet prince. Next day, pull it out and rest it on the counter for 30 minutes. You know, to remove the chip. Then roll it out one more time to a 12 by 7 inch rectangle. Let her fold one last time.
good
Wrap it in
golly,
plastic wrap and
Miss Molly.
refrigerate for 2 more hours. Yeah,
Now,
I know,
who-
it's a lot. You're probably like, what the hell,
Is
man?
it
Hey,
pissing?
there's
It
a
says
reason
no
why people don't make puff pastry. We're here to do it for you. At this point, your puff pastry is ready to pull out and roll immediately for a Wellington, but it can keep in the fridge for 2 to 3 days. At around a 30-hour dough. Now let's up the ante a little bit. You know that little mushroom paste that usually goes in the beef
Yes.
Wellingtons? The Duxelles. This is probably the longest time anyone has ever taken to make one in the world, at least that I can think of. Now, to a large 4 to 6 quart container, either glass or plastic, pour in just enough water that would submerge 1 pound of cremini mushrooms. Once you have that water, weigh the water out in grams. Multiply that weight by 0.020. That'll get you a
That's why I don't cook.
2% salt brine. The gram amount that you get when you do your little math equation. It's not that hard. Not only do I hate math, I did not go to college and I can figure it out, okay? So if you have 1,500 grams of water, it would be 30 grams of kosher salt, which is enough for this recipe. Now whisk your salt into your water till dissolved. Destem and clean 1 pounder, 450 grams of cremini mushrooms. Pop your mushrooms into your salt brine. Make sure the liquid will fully submerge your shrooms. Now find something plastic or glass, such as a plastic rack like this, or some small glass bowls, to weigh the mushrooms down and keep them submerged in the water. Now cover with cheesecloth, tie it with twine so the cheesecloth doesn't, fly away. Let that sit at room temperature for 3 days. Listen up, always label your ferments. We like safety here. Once those are done fermenting, remove your mushrooms. Rough chop them, place them in a food processor, chop finely, almost into a paste. Heat a medium pan over medium heat, add 2 tablespoons or 28 grams of unsalted butter. Once melted and bubbling, add 2 finely diced shallots, hit lightly with salt and saute for 1 minute, then add
What?
I was gonna say that
Mushroom?
that mushroom mix.
Uh-huh.
That
You made that.
I did, and I like the idea behind his. I hadn't considered that, but brining it in that salt and stuff like that, that would really add a depth of flavor to that mushroom that you wouldn't get just by salting it externally when you're making this stuff.
I was gonna say that I didn't used to like mushrooms. Like it took me a long time to try it little by little in different ways. And I actually do like mushrooms now. But there was a time I was like, oh heck no, don't put that near me. I don't like it at all. But my taste has changed.
Did you eat the mushrooms in Rich's?
I absolutely
spaghetti?
did. Yeah, and his spaghetti sauce.
So good.
That
They
was
were so good.
Yes.
I sometimes I'm kind of picky with my mushrooms, and sometimes I'm just like, I'm not really feeling these mushrooms, but I ate those, and oh man, they were so good.
There's a dish
Very
over at Old Spaghetti Factory that also has a mushroom, mushroom and bacon and stuff, and it's so and with with cheese and brown butter. I kind of want it right now. Anyways, yeah, so good, so good, so good.
So good.
3 tablespoons of 48 grams of whiskey, increase the heat to medium high, and boil that until almost all the liquid is gone. Then add your processed mushrooms, season very lightly with salt. Remember, these were brined earlier, okay? We don't want to oversalt this. Followed by 2 sprigs of thyme and 1 sprig of rosemary. Continuously cook and stir until the majority of the water has been cooked out and your duxelle looks like this. About 15 minutes. Then
You know what my duxelle was made with?
What?
Red wine,
Oh, okay.
not whiskey.
Yeah, red wine. That's different. Was that the Gordon Ramsay recipe
Yep.
with red wine? Okay.
stir in 3 cloves of finely chopped garlic, and that finishes off with a 72-hour
That looks
duxelle.
really
Now, here's a
tasty
weird
and
twist for the beef
interesting, though.
Wellington. I don't know that anyone has ever done this before. I'm going to also wrap this in a sheet of 72-hour cooked short rib, the whole muscle meat. We're not going to chop it up. It's gonna be an actual- First, you need 1 pound or 450 grams.
Come on, dude.
Short rib.
That's
Freeze that bad
freaking
boy until
awesome.
extremely firm, but maybe not a rock. Slice it about a third or half inch thick using a sharp knife or ideally a deli meat slicer.
Get out of
Then use a knife, dude. It's okay.
nice.
Once those are sliced, season both sides lightly with salt and pepper. Don't get all crazy over here with seasonings. I know what you're thinking. Oh, I season my meat, Papa. That's great that you do, but we got a lot of other things going on in here. So pop that into a vacuum bag, vacuum seal, and place in a sous vide set to 69 Celsius. Nice. For 72 hours.
Celsius.
Frankly, you could probably go for less time because these are so thin, but you know, I wanted to test it out, so we're pulling the full 72. Now take it out and set in the fridge left in the bag. Now we're progressing our time dedication with a fermented Dijon-inspired mustard. Yeah, this is the longest timed item in the recipe so far. Get yourself half a cup or 100 grams of yellow mustard seeds. Lightly crush a few of them in a mortar pestle. Then in a quart-sized mason jar, add exactly 6 grams of salt and 300
it is a Dijon.
You know how much faith that I have in this recipe?
How much?
Faith of a mustard seed.
Grams of water. Yes, again, we're using exact measurements because fermentation can kill you if you don't do it right. Please be safe and discuss with your doctor. Make sure that you do your appropriate research on lactofermentation and the scientific resultants of said lactofermentation. Stir until your salts dissolve.
like all
add your mustard seeds, 1 small finely chopped shallot, 1 finely chopped clove of garlic.
this kind of
the sides are clean. Cover that with cheesecloth and tie with a rubber band or kitchen twine. Again, label your ferment and let that sit at room temperature for 5 days. So now, even without doing all these other things,
We have kids and animals. I wouldn't trust anything to sit around on our counter for like any amount of time.
I can only imagine our cat like.
Oh my god!
Look, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Crash. Just like that.
What have you done?
Carry on without me.
He's breaking things over there. Anyways, heads up. I would like for you to make me some beef Wellington, but please don't leave things fermenting on the counter for hours at a time.
For our cat.
I'm gonna push the button because you're being really loud over there with.
By all means.
things that we've done so far, we're sitting at 120 hours. Once your mustard is done, pop all of that into a blender and blend on high until you get a paste. Add a quarter cup or 60 milliliters of apple cider vinegar. Yep, that's right, that kills the ferment, but it's gonna add a little bit of extra acidity, but that doesn't delete all the funk that we just developed in our ferment. A splash of Worcestershire sauce and 2 cloves of fresh garlic, all while blending. Season to taste with salt and blend until as smooth as possible. Optionally, you could pass your mustard through a fine mesh strainer to get it extra nice and glossy. And well, at this point, we pretty much have our components. How could we possibly bump this up more than that ridiculous 120-hour marker? What item could possibly take it there? All we have left is a piece of meat. Well, I got a way, pal. You're first gonna get a whole tenderloin. Yeah, the whole thing. So you're gonna take that puppy and you're gonna place it in a dry ager for 14 days. This is a
We don't have a dry ager.
What?
He's got to put it in the dry ager for 14 days. We don't have dry ager.
Yeah, you can do dry age in different ways.
Josh, I don't have a dry ager.
What do I
small
do,
primal,
Josh?
so it's hard to dry age this for too long. You pull it out. You trim off the dried out, oxidized outside. You cut out this perfect 2-pound, 907 gram center cut of the tenderloin. The and that is your beef standing at a 336-hour timeline.
Get in my
Now,
mouth.
I guess you could just go get a center cut tenderloin from the store, but it ain't this. I'll tell you that. Finally, we can assemble this monstrosity. First, make sure your short rib is warm in its bag before you add it so it's flexible, otherwise it'll break apart. First, get your roast. Optionally, you can tie it off with kitchen twine at 3 intervals to keep it even. Season it with salt and pepper generously on all sides and sear it on all sides in a ripping hot pan. Once it's done, immediately brush it with your fermented mustard. Let that cool in the fridge for a few minutes. Pull out your homemade puff pastry. Let that sit at room temp while your beef cools. Let's call it 10-15 minutes. Layer in 4 crepes shingled to create one large sheet. In the center of that, shingle on prosciutto to coat the majority of the crepes. Then spread on your 72-hour duxelle in an even layer. Think about making a square that will perfectly wrap around your beef. That's how you can organize this. Then carefully create a single sheet of short rib by gently laying on your slices of 72-hour short rib side by side. My goodness. Now, before we put our beef on there, make sure to remove your twine. And finally, your seared, dry-aged filet de boeuf. Placed daintily at the lower third. Roll it up gently in plastic wrap. Make sure it's wrapped nice and tight. Once it's sealed, hold both ends and roll against the counter to tighten into a thick sausage. Then roll out your puff pastry. Carefully roll that bad boy up in your puff pastry, adding a bit of water or egg wash at the bottom to help seal. This egg wash consists of 2 egg yolks and a splash of water whisked together. That's quite enough. Wrap that up nice and tight in plastic wrap, rolling it on your board to create a doit sausage. Then chill in the fridge for 15 minutes. Finally, we can bake. Place your Wellington on a parchment-lined baking sheet, brush generously with your egg wash, and optionally you can add a little lattice top to it. This is just excess puff pastry that was rolled out, then cut with a lattice cutter. If you do place it on, you will need to brush it again with egg wash. And to finish this off, in between each lattice, I added a little piece of fresh thyme to commemorate how much time this took. Get it? Sorry. Honestly, placing the thyme leaves was borderline worse than making the Wellington overall. And next to that, I have my recipe for a regular Wellington. That's for the comparison. These are both my recipes, regular here and extreme version here. Bake at 475 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 to 30 minutes. It may take longer depending on how thick, until you reach an internal temperature of 133 Fahrenheit. Pull it out and rest for 5 minutes before slicing. I'm not gonna lie, I ended up pulling it out at 136. Not great. Let's hope this isn't overcooked. So a quick cross section, and good Lord, have a mercy on us.
Look at the juice.
Despite the fact that it is maybe slightly overcooked, for me at least. The inside of this undoubtedly looks like a 330-hour labor of love. Surely this was worth it. But hey, there's only one way to find out.
This is a beautiful Wellington. It's a little overdone, I'll give you that. First off, visually, I mean, look at this thing. The green around there, and you can literally see the intramuscular structure of that sous vide short rib. First, we'll start with the original. It doesn't look as exciting, I'm not gonna lie. Look, we know what this tastes like. The prosciutto spanking you around, salty umami, when you have that buttery crunch around it. Whoa, there's a lot going on in there. There are a lot of similarities. This tenderloin, luscious, way more tender. But then that mushroom duxelle comes in. It's funky, it's rich. Now, the rest of the ingredients are the same. Is that enough to push it through? I don't think so. But you know what is? It being enrobed in a 72-hour short rib that you can feel biting through, juicing. So is this better? By leaps. Is it worth it? No, it's not. It is significantly better, and I do not ever want to do that again. But you can always learn something here, and you can use any of these single components or anything else. Pick something out of this that you think is the coolest.
You could still do everything else the normal way, the Ramsay way, but change up the mushroom thing.
Mm-hmm. Do it with whiskey instead of...
Or do everything the same and change up something else. Yeah, so you still could tweak it a little bit with any one of these.
Or just make a plate full of those thin short ribs and just sit there and eat them like bacon.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. It looks like bacon.
And put it in another Wellington or something else and have a beautiful fucking day. But hey, thank you to Made In for sponsoring today's video, and don't forget to check out their stainless collection and Made In's other cookware by clicking the link in the description to save on your order. Don't forget to subscribe also. Bye!
Bye!
Bye, Joshua Weissman. He's reading his own book. Cracks me up. I do want to know, Joshua Weissman, should you ever go, have a free moment and you're roaming on YouTube and you run across us, I would like to know your hair products. I would like, his hair looks so soft and it's keeping those curls, and I'd like to know how to do that. So, well, or if any of you guys know what might, what products he might be using.
If any of you are stalking him or spying on him while he's at the grocery store.
You're like, hey, what his hair products are. Honestly, my thoughts were, hey, my hair looks the same. I use this product. That's what I didn't think anybody was stalking him. But if you're stalking him,
but if you are,
let us know.
Hey, want to thank you guys for joining us. We had a great time watching this. Hope you had a great time too. And until next time, peace.
Rock on.